The world we live in today creates an astonishing paradox. Never before have people been so connected to each other and at the same time so psychologically vulnerable. Every second, over 4 million posts appear on social media, and the average user spends about 2 hours daily in the digital space. Over the past 5 years, the number of anxiety disorders among active social media users has grown by 40%. What is happening to our psyche in an era of total publicity? Why are we so afraid to show ourselves online, even though we are physically safe in our homes? This fear has deep roots in our evolution. For millennia, rejection by the group meant mortal danger. Today, this ancient program kicks in every time we press the publish button. Our brain does not distinguish between a real threat and virtual disapproval. It reacts the same way, with a release of stress hormones, an increased heart rate, and a narrowing of focus. Digital stress has become the invisible epidemic of our time. What happens in our brain when we prepare to publish a post, photo, or video? The fear of public exposure in the digital world has a unique nature. Paradoxically, the computer screen, meant to create distance, does not protect us from emotional blows. Our brain did not evolve for virtual communication. The limbic system, responsible for the fight or flight response, is activated by the threat of social rejection, just as it is by physical danger. Neurobiological studies show that the mere anticipation of negative evaluation triggers a cascade of stress responses comparable to experiencing real pain. The virtual space has features that amplify anxiety. Firstly, there is permanence. Everything published can remain forever. Secondly, scalability. The potential audience is limitless. Thirdly, the invisibility of observers. We don't know who will see our content or when. Anonymity, which should liberate, paradoxically intensifies fear. When we don't see the interlocutor's reaction, our brain tends to construct negative scenarios. The online disinhibition effect leads people to say things they would never say in person. The absence of non-verbal cues, which constitute up to 70% of communication, creates room for misinterpretations. We project our fears onto an empty screen. Digital fear becomes a self-perpetuating cycle. Anxiety causes avoidance. Avoidance intensifies anxiety. Our brain remembers emotional reactions and reproduces them in similar situations, creating a stable neural network of fear of public exposure. Imagine the modern world, where digital currency is measured not in dollars or euros, but in the number of hearts, thumbs up, and comments. Every time we press the publish button, it's as if we step onto a stage before a multi-thousand audience. Our pulse quickens, our palms sweat, and an inner voice whispers, "What if they don't like it?" Likes and comments have become a new system of social validation. Studies show that receiving positive feedback on social media activates the same brain areas as drug use. Dopamine rushes create a real addiction to approval. Maria, a 23-year-old photographer from Moscow, recounts, "I started deleting photos that got less than 100 likes. Then I began waking up in the middle of the night to check the statistics. At some point, I realized that my self-esteem was completely dependent on the numbers on the screen." Social platform algorithms amplify this addiction by predominantly showing us successful content and creating a distorted perception of what's normal. We see the tip of the iceberg and consider it the standard. Psychologists call this the stage effect. We compare our backstage routines with the retouched stage of others' lives. The internet has created a unique weapon of mass psychological destruction: hate. In the digital environment, aggression takes on a special power. It is instantaneous, scalable, and practically uncontrollable. Every minute, over 20,000 negative comments targeting specific individuals are published worldwide. A wave of hatred can engulf anyone, from a school child to a global celebrity. Studies show that negative comments are perceived by the brain 5 times more intensely than positive ones. One hateful comment can outweigh dozens of words of support. Psychologists identify several types of internet aggressors. Accidental haters are ordinary people venting accumulated stress. Professional trolls are those who derive pleasure from others' suffering. Are critics convinced of their righteousness? Are those who feel an acute need to belittle others' success? Anonymity becomes the ideal breeding ground for the spread of hatred. It's easy to hide one's true face behind an avatar, and the distance between aggressor and victim creates an illusion of impunity. The story of 17-year-old Alexandra from Novosibirsk demonstrates the destructive power of cyberbullying. After publishing her dance video, she faced mass harassment, which led to prolonged depression and dropping out of school. Psychologists recommend several strategies for protection against digital aggression. First, emotional distancing. It's important to remember that hate says more about the hater themselves than about you. Second, content filtering. Blocking aggressive users and configuring comment settings. Third, seeking support. Creating a circle of trust with people whose opinions are truly valuable. Fourth, the empty screen technique. Imagine that negative comments are just pixels on a screen, having no power over your life. The price of fame in the digital age has risen immeasurably for public figures. Bloggers, influencers, and media personalities are under the constant scrutiny of millions of eyes, where every word, every gesture is analyzed and evaluated. Andre, a popular YouTube blogger with an audience of 2 million subscribers, admits, "I wake up thinking that thousands of people are waiting for my content. It's both inspiring and paralyzing." Imposter syndrome is a constant companion for internet celebrities. 8 out of 10 successful bloggers admit that they regularly feel as if their success is accidental and exposure is inevitable. Elena, a beauty influencer with 5 years of experience, shares, "Every time I get a new advertising contract, I think, now they'll realize that I'm nothing special." Renowned psychologist Maria Kovalevskaya, who works with social media stars, notes, "Publicity on the internet has a toxic feature. It never turns off." Traditional celebrities could leave the stage and become ordinary people. Digital stars are always on stage, even in their own bedroom. Survival strategies in conditions of constant attention require a special approach. The first is creating a clear boundary between public and private space. The second is forming a media diet, limiting time spent reading comments and monitoring mentions. The third is working with the inner critic through mindfulness techniques and cognitive reappraisal. The experience of prominent bloggers shows that resilience to public pressure comes through accepting the inevitability of criticism. As one of the pioneers of Russian YouTube says, "When you understand that it's impossible to please everyone, true freedom of self-expression comes." In a world where every frame of our lives passes through dozens of filters, perfectionism has become not just a character trait, but a social norm. Social media has transformed into a gallery of ideal moments, where there is no room for ordinary human imperfections. Modern apps offer over 100 filters for real-time appearance correction. Everything can be changed, from skin tone to the shape of cheekbones. 70% of young people admit they don't upload photos without editing. Researchers from Stanford University call this phenomenon the virtual double effect. Gradually, we begin to compare our real selves not with other people, but with our own retouched version. Sophia, a 22-year-old student, shares, "One day a friend took my photo without warning. Seeing my true self, I burst into tears. The girl on the screen was completely unfamiliar. The culture of the perfect image creates a vicious circle. The more we edit our appearance, the more the gap between the virtual and real image grows. Psychologists are noting a new phenomenon: filter dysmorphia. When a person sees their reflection in the mirror as distorted, not matching the improved version from Instagram. Teenagers are especially vulnerable. 85% of girls aged 13 to 20 admit to experiencing anxiety when they cannot edit their photo before posting. Behind the glossy facade lies a growing epidemic of anxiety and depression. While bloggers and celebrities grapple with the burdens of public life, millions of ordinary social media users are experiencing their own form of digital stress. According to recent research, the average person checks their smartphone 85 times a day, and 73% experience anxiety when they cannot access social media. The fear of missing out, FOMO, has become a true epidemic of the digital age. It's that constant worry that others are having enjoyable experiences from which you are excluded. 27-year-old Kirill shares, "Psychologists note a paradoxical effect. The more time we spend on social media, the stronger the feeling that our lives are not interesting or fulfilling enough. Comparing ourselves to others becomes an automatic habit, and in doing so, we compare our ordinary daily lives with carefully curated moments from others' lives." A study conducted among 3,000 active social media users revealed a disturbing trend. Over the past 5 years, anxiety levels have risen by 60%, and cases of clinical depression by 42%. Adolescents and young adults, whose self-esteem is still developing, are particularly vulnerable. Digital anxiety in the average user manifests in various forms, from obsessive checking of notifications to panic attacks at the sight of acquaintances' successes. Psychotherapist Anna Severina notes, "We are seeing a new type of client, people who have never created content for a wide audience, but suffer from comparison and a sense of their own inadequacy in the digital world." When panic strikes before hitting the publish button, our body reacts instantly. Accelerated heartbeat, shallow breathing, tense muscles. In such moments, breathing techniques become a lifeline. The simplest and most effective is 4-7-8. Inhale through the nose for 4 counts. Hold your breath for 7. Exhale through the mouth for 8. Repeat the cycle 4 times. This activates the parasympathetic nervous system, responsible for relaxation. For instant grounding, the 5 senses technique works. Find 5 objects you see, 4 things you can touch, 3 sounds you hear, 2 smells you perceive, and 1 taste. This brings you back to the present moment, pulling you out of the whirlpool of anxious thoughts. In an acute panic attack before a live broadcast or publishing an important post, the cold trigger technique helps. Hold an ice cube in your palm or wash your face with cold water. A sharp temperature impact reboots the nervous system. To center your attention, use an anchor phrase, a short, positive affirmation that you repeat in a stressful situation. "I've handled it before, I'll handle it now." Or, "These are just thoughts, not facts." If anxiety arises during communication with an audience, use the inner observer technique. Mentally step back and observe the situation from the side. Ask yourself, what's the worst that can happen? How likely is it really? Regular practice of these techniques creates neural connections, allowing you to return to a state of calm more quickly. Your body learns to recognize the false alarms of the digital world and react to them more balancedly. Our minds often become the main source of digital stress. Negative thoughts before publishing content can sound like a verdict. "They'll criticize me. I look ridiculous. Everyone will see that I'm incompetent." Cognitive behavioral therapy offers effective tools for dealing with such attitudes. The first step is recognizing cognitive distortions. Catastrophizing. If my post doesn't get likes, my career is ruined. Overgeneralization. One negative comment means nobody likes me. Mind reading. I know they think badly of me. These mental traps amplify anxiety. The reality check technique helps counter them. Ask yourself 3 questions. What evidence do I have for this thought? What alternative interpretation is possible? What would I say to a friend in a similar situation? To reframe negative thoughts, use the decatastrophizing method. Ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? How likely is this scenario? Will I be able to cope with it? Will I remember this in 5 years? This analysis restores a sense of control and perspective. The practical exercise Thought Journal helps track automatic negative reactions. Write down the situation, the thought that arose, the emotion and its intensity, then formulate a more balanced alternative. Regular practice creates new neural connections, gradually changing the perception of criticism. To deal with comments, use the emotional sorting technique. Divide feedback into constructive, neutral, and toxic. The first are a source of growth. The second are information. The third do not deserve attention. Remember, our reaction to criticism is the only thing we fully control. Our self-esteem is like the foundation of a house. If it stands on the shifting sands of external approvals, any storm of criticism can destroy the entire structure. Building internal support begins with realizing a simple truth. A person's worth is not measured by the number of likes and comments. The first step to stable self-esteem is separating self-worth from results. Psychologist Natalia Petrova recommends the exercise, quote, "Every morning in front of the mirror say, initially this may cause internal resistance, but regular practice gradually changes deep-seated beliefs." Working with the inner critic is a key element in forming a healthy relationship with oneself. This voice, often borrowed from significant figures in childhood, can sound deafeningly loud in moments of public vulnerability. The technique helps transform it from an enemy into an ally. Write down all the inner critic's complaints and then respond to them as a wise, compassionate friend. The Bank of Successes practice is effective for creating an internal resource. Keep a digital or paper journal where you will record all your achievements, from professional victories to small personal joys. In moments of doubt, refer to this bank as proof of your competence. The multiple identities technique helps avoid fully identifying with the role of a blogger or public figure. Make a list of all your social roles. I am a friend, son, daughter, specialist, reader, athlete. This reminds you that your worth is not limited to one area of life. The digital environment demands from us not only new skills, but also a special hygiene of interaction with it. Just as we care for our physical health, it is necessary to build conscious relationships with virtual space. The first rule of digital hygiene is setting clear time boundaries. Research shows, after 2 hours of continuous presence on social networks, our brain enters a state of information overload, concentration decreases, and anxiety increases. Try the digital intervals method. 30 minutes online, then 10 minutes of complete disconnection. During breaks, focus on your breathing, stretch your body, or simply look out the window. Regular digital detox is becoming a necessity. Allocate 1 day a week, or at least an evening when you completely disconnect from social platforms. Many users note that after such breaks, clarity of thought returns, and the overall level of anxiety decreases. Privacy settings are your shield in the digital space. Conduct an audit of all accounts. Who has access to your posts? Create different circles of communication. close friends, colleagues, a broad audience. Don't be afraid to use the comment restriction function for especially personal posts. Practice conscious posting. Before publishing content, ask yourself 3 questions. Why am I publishing this? What reaction do I expect? Am I ready for various responses? This simple filter helps avoid impulsive decisions that you might later regret. The time has come to rethink our digital presence. Years of immersion in social networks have shown technology changes faster than our psyche adapts to it. We can continue to drift with the digital current or learn to manage our virtual existence consciously. Mindfulness in the digital world begins with a simple question. Why am I here? Every time you open an app, ask yourself, what need am I satisfying? What am I looking for? Where am I directing my energy? This moment of pause creates space for choice instead of automatic reaction. All the techniques and strategies we have discussed, from breathing exercises to cognitive reappraisal, form a single system for a healthy relationship with the internet space. As Mikhail, a 32-year-old programmer who went through digital burnout, says, "Social networks are a tool, not reality. When I understood this difference, the fear of publicity disappeared." The future of digital culture depends on each of us. We can create an environment where authenticity is valued, not a perfect picture, where criticism is constructive, not toxic, where connection between people strengthens rather than destroys mental health. Integrate new skills gradually. Start small. Set a timer for 15 minutes of mindful online presence. Practice digital pauses, moments when you completely disconnect and return to the physical world. Create your own code of digital well-being and follow it.